Alrighty, hello friends, welcome in Talking Sports at Work. I am your host, Eric Persley, on this lovely, wet Thursday, April the 11th. Feels like that's a significant date. I don't know why. Is that something? April the 11th feels like 4/11. I don't know, maybe I'm just thinking 4/11. I don't know. I feel like that with a lot of dates for some reason, though. Like I'll look at what the date is on my watch or on my phone or whatever, and I'll see that and I'll be like, isn't that something? Isn't today supposed to be something? Somebody's birthday or a holiday or some anniversary? I don't know. If it is, happy birthday, anniversary, whatever it is, to whomever it is. So, I hope everyone's had a great week so far. I had my day off of work yesterday, and it really seems like it's about 50-50 on my days off. A lot of the time, they are busier than my work days because I'm trying to get my schoolwork done. I'm trying to get stuff for the podcast done, stuff for the YouTube channel done, clean up the house, do laundry, now we're back to mowing yard season. There's just always so much that I'm also trying to do, and trying to work on the novel, which I haven't been able to get much done over the last few days. But what I'm saying it's 50-50 with is whether or not I'm going to do that. Because if I set my mind to it, that means I'm going to take the kids to daycare and school, and I'm going to do the stuff I need to do that day. But then half the time I just end up, I just feel like keeping the kids home and let's just play and mess around today. And that's what we did yesterday. But we had a good day together, and that's stuff that's more valuable than any of the rest of this shit anyway, in the end. I didn't get much done in terms of, I didn't get any schoolwork done, didn't get any writing done. We actually did try to record a couple new videos for the YouTube channel, but then once I went back to edit them, there was no sound. So I screwed that all up. We still had fun playing. We were playing a new wrestling video game that we just got because Jackie's getting into that, and I haven't really been into it. If you listen to yesterday or the episode from a few days ago, I told you, I was super duper duper into wrestling when I was a kid, but then I haven't watched it for almost 20 years. But then we watched WrestleMania over the weekend, and it was a lot of fun. It was something we were kind of bonding over. And now on Peacock, you can go back and you can watch literally everything. I mean, it's like a dream come true for the 10-year-old me. There's every episode of every pay-per-view, every episode of Raw and Nitro, and everything is on there. Everything the stuff that, because we couldn't usually afford the pay-per-views when I was a kid, so I just have to find out what happened on the following Monday. Or sometimes I would go to Brandon's mom's house because she would get all the pay-per-views, but then every once in a while we could get them, but a lot of the times I couldn't. But now, those are all available on Peacock, and it's totally awesome. And really, that and The Office, the Superfan episodes of The Office in particular, make Peacock worth it. Plus, now it's doing the NFL thing where, the Peacock has at least one exclusive NFL game. They're going to be doing that now every year. So I'm not being paid by them or anything, obviously, but for those reasons, there's nothing else good on it. I'll say that. There's nothing else worth a damn on Peacock. But there's every wrestling thing ever on there. There are the Superfan episodes of The Office, which in and of itself make it worth it. That's why I've kept Peacock for as long as I have, because I watch those all the time. And then now the NFL game. So those are the three things that Peacock has that make it worth it. And I've always been a fan of NBC sitcoms. It seems like all my favorite sitcoms throughout history have been NBC sitcoms, with Seinfeld, The Office, Brooklyn Nine-Nine finished up on there. It started on Fox, but then it moved to NBC. 30 Rock and Parks and Rec. Seriously, almost all of my favorite old sitcoms or sitcoms were NBC sitcoms. But anyway, I've gotten way off topic. Point is, what was the point? Did I have a point? I don't know if I had a point. Anyway, I got off on a tangent. I was talking about yesterday. So, Yeah, so I've been watching a lot of the old wrestling stuff with Jack, stuff with Shawn Michaels and The Rock and Bret Hart and Stone Cold, and we've been going back and watching a lot of the old pay-per-views and Royal Rumbles and stuff, and it's been something that's fun for us to bond over because he's into always the same stuff that his daddy is, and I don't know if that's just I mean, I don't know if he's really just like that much like me or if it's just a kid who takes after his dad, but either way, there's a lot of stuff. He absolutely loves football, as much as any little kid I know, and now he's getting into wrestling. And it's funny because it was actually his friend who got him into it, not me. His friend Memphis, who he's been hanging out. They live right down the road from us, and so they've been spending a lot of time together. And Memphis is really into wrestling, so he kind of got Jackie into it a little bit, and so I started up, and then it just happened to be WrestleMania weekend last weekend, and so it's just kind of started a thing. So anyway, I got the WWE 2K game, which, as it turns out, you have to pay more to get all the old Legends wrestlers, the ones that I actually know. I don't know any of the rest of these dudes. And then you still don't even get all of them. You've got to play through this showcase mode to get a lot of the rest of them. And so I ended up staying up late Tuesday night just playing that showcase mode to try to get Bret Hart and Stone Cold and Shawn Michaels. And anyway, so then yesterday, it was a treat that I had promised. If Jack could be good for a few days, he could have the game. So I let him play the game. We all played it together and had a lot of fun with that. We played on the trampoline a lot. We played football and soccer outside. So we just had a really fun, easy day together yesterday. So it didn't accomplish much of anything in terms of productivity, but it was still a really good day. And that's what I'm saying is 50-50, whether or not I'm actually going to get anything done on my days off or I'm just going to have fun with the kids. And that's a good balance. I'm fine with that. Anyway, and then I did end up actually getting a handful of things done because they spent the night with their mom last night. So once they went back to her house, I did get a handful of things done. Anywho, so, really only got one thing on the docket today, and that's Mel Kiper's mock draft. His most recent one came out yesterday, and I was just struck by the similarities with my mock draft that I had just done a few days prior. And so I went through and I was looking at all of it, and I just felt like this was worth doing an episode on and talking about, because that's what we're going to be talking a lot about over the next couple of weeks. This podcast and all the NFL coverage is going to be focused largely on the draft. And Mel Kiper, McShay, Daniel Jeremiah, these are the big guys. And Kiper is sort of still considered as the guy when it comes to draft analysis. And so, we're going to dive into that a little bit, talk about some of the similarities, talk about some of the things I disagree with him on, talk about some of the things maybe I feel like maybe I was wrong on, if there are any, probably not. But I'm going to take a quick break so I can really quickly refresh my memory on what was on the draft. Got to pull over here in a minute. Obviously, safety is a priority here at Talking Sports at Work. I don't say that every episode, but I probably should. All of this is hands-free. I'm just talking as if I were talking on the phone. Anytime I check notes or stats or mock draft or, any sort of thing like that, I'll pause and pull over to do so. And that's what I'm going to do right now. So I'll be right back. All right. Hey, friends, we're back again. So, I was looking, as I mentioned yesterday, and I saw that Mel Kiper's third or fourth version of his mock draft was released yesterday, and you got to have ESPN Plus to view that kind of stuff, which luckily I do, but it's part of my Disney bundle with Disney Plus and Hulu, and ESPN Plus is just kind of a bonus. But what's frustrating about it is every time there's an article, and anybody who has ESPN Plus will know what I'm talking about. Anytime you see like an article on your like Google News or something that you want to look at and you click on it, if it's ESPN Plus, you can't see it. You got to go and log in. So then you have to go to your browser. And if you have it logged in on your browser, it's usually logged you out after a few days. So then you can't even view it on your browser. The only thing that stays logged in is on the ESPN app. And even that, every once in a while, sometimes it knocks you out. And so you've got to log back in. So if you see something like just on your browser or on a search or on a news app or, like on the Bleacher Report app that's on ESPN that you want to look at, you click on it, you can't because you got to log in. Or you got to log in through the Bleacher Report thing. You got to log in through your Chrome browser. You got to log in through Google News. So then it's really just what you do is you go to the ESPN app and then you have to look it up and find the article that you are wanting to look for. And it's just a pain in the ass. So if anyone ever listens to this from ESPN, which I know that's never going to happen, but hey, maybe I'll get famous and people will go back and listen to my old shit. Fix that because dear God, it is so ridiculous. It's so much trouble. But anyway, certain things are worth having to go through that trouble and look it up on the ESPN app, and one of those is Mel Kiper's most recent mock draft. So what's interesting here, you guys know I did one. I've done a couple now, and my most recent one I put on the YouTube channel. I think it was about a week ago now, maybe. And what was very interesting were the first 9 picks of the draft. I had my Mel Kiper's matched up exactly with what I had, even including a mock trade with the Vikings trading up to number 5 with the Chargers to take J.J. McCarthy. And I just thought that was pretty interesting. It made me feel a little validated in the picks that I made. Now, of course, a lot of this stuff is pretty well understood. It's not like it was, took a lot of everybody knows what's going to happen at number 1. It feels like what's going to happen at number 2 now is pretty well locked in, and that seems to be Jaden Daniels. Now number 3, that is very much not locked in. Some people have trades, some people have Marvin Harrison. I have Drake May. Mel Kiper also had Drake May, and then also I had Marvin and other people. Some people have the Cardinals trading down out of that pick, or even I've seen Malik Neighbors being taken number 4, or an offensive lineman. There are a lot of ways they could go. I have Marvin Harrison Jr. So does Mel Kiper. And then you've got that projected trade at 5 with the Vikings. They are the team that it feels like the most talk is about them really, really wanting a quarterback. Kevin O'Connell's obviously a quarterback-centric guy. I really like him as an offensive coach. And he's a former quarterback, and now he's without Kirk Cousins, and they are the team that it feels like more than any other that's outside of the top 10 that is really wanting to move up and grab somebody. So, and it seems like all the talk right now is J.J. McCarthy is that 4th quarterback. And then it seems like there's a drop-off, I think. And honestly, I don't even include McCarthy. I think he could be good, but I think Williams is sort of up there on his own level as sort of your surefire number 1. And then I think Jaden Daniels and I think Drake May's the second best, but I think he and Jaden Daniels are on the same level. McCarthy's close to that, but I don't know that he's as good as those other guys. And then I think there is a little bit of a drop-off with the next 2, which would be Bo Nix and Michael Penix. Now, that's a big difference that I had in my mock draft compared to Kiper's is I think I had all of those guys going in the first round at some point. I had the first 3 quarterbacks off the board at 1, 2, 3, then the Vikings trading up to 5 to get McCarthy, and then the Broncos, I had taking Bo Nix at 12. And then I actually had the Raiders trading back and acquiring more picks and still getting Michael Penix there somewhere in the 20s. So I think he actually only had those 4 quarterbacks going in the first round. And then after pick number 5, I don't think he had any other quarterbacks going. I don't think it's going to go that way. I just think that Bo Nix would match up really well with Sean Payton, even though I'm not a big believer in Bo Nix. I don't know about that he has the arm talent to be that. I think if there is a place he could go and fit and be successful, it would be with Sean Payton. So that's why I would have him going to the Broncos at 12. Everybody seems like has us taking Joe Alt at 7, and I love that. I hope that's the way we go. I was listening to Mike Florio and Chris Sims, who I've really grown to love their show, Pro Football Talk on NBC Sports. and I listen to them most mornings, and they were going over, I guess they're doing a thing where they're analyzing certain divisions and draft needs, and this morning they happen to be doing the AFC South, and they were talking about the Titans, and they said the same thing everybody else did, that this roster, if you look at it, is actually kind of surprisingly talented. The one big glaring weakness is the offensive line, specifically that tackle spot. Um, and so, we're going to address that there at number 7. We're hoping that Joe Alt is still on the board. If he's not, then honestly, I think we should trade back if we can get, enough to make it worth it, because you've got several other tackles in this draft that could be, really good starting left tackles. I still think that Fashanu would be the number 2 guy. I still see him as having that blue chip talent, being that super high ceiling kind of guy. A lot of people have kind of knocked him down the rankings as we've gotten closer to the draft. But, I mean, you've also got who else? Fuaga, you've got Mims, you've got Latham, who, those two I think played mostly on the right side. But there are just there's a lot of tackle talent in this first round of the draft. So if Joe Alt is no longer on the board, I think we should probably trade back. And I actually talked about that in a previous episode as well, that might be the best case scenario for us, would be to, if the Vikings specifically don't trade up with the Chargers, then maybe they would want to trade up with us. We could acquire maybe another first round pick, maybe that 23, or at least a first round pick next year, move back to 11 and still get Fashanu. But anyway, that's a whole Titans thing, topic that we'll move on from that for now. He also has Dallas Turner as the first defensive player going to the Falcons at number 8. That was the same as me. And of course, I've heard some shit from Falcons fans who are never going to be happy with anything ever. But I do still believe that Dallas Turner is the best edge rusher and has the highest ceiling. Jared Verse has a really high ceiling as well. The thing is, Dallas Turner has all those traits. And actually, this is something that Chris Sims was talking about this morning as well. The reason I think Dallas Turner is the best is because he's got all those things you can't teach. Somebody commented on my YouTube channel the other day talking about how Latu was so much better than him. He's got so much better technique, and he's got these other, he can get to the quarterback in many ways. He's got better hand moves. He's got better better pass rush moves. Those are all things you can coach. That's the thing. You can't coach the size and speed and strength and length that Dallas Turner has. And he's already not bad. I mean, he's not technically flawed. He's not totally raw. He's still got some, great pass rush moves to him. It's just pretty simplistic so far. But, he can get in there. He can be coached up, learn how to use his hands better, learn how to add a spin move in there and do that. Those are all things you can teach. You can't teach the freakish athleticism that he has. And that's why I still have Dallas Turner, but it's close. I have those top 3 guys as being pretty close with Latu, Verse, and Turner, but I do think Turner is the best of them. I've also seen a lot lately that the Bears are maybe going to be expected to trade back out of that second first-round pick they have there at 9. Right now, I've got them taking Rome Odunze, as does Kiper. I don't know why that talk is happening. I don't know why they would trade that instead of just going ahead and taking another blue-chip talent, especially a receiver or, somebody to help your young quarterback. I don't know. I mean, I know they do have multiple needs on that team, but you have the opportunity here to take 2 top 10 players. I don't know why you would want to trade out of that. Excuse me, but it seems like a lot of people are thinking they're going to, but whatever. Now, where Kiper and I finally start differing is at number 10. He has the Jets taking Brock Bowers, which I think I actually had that same thing in my first mock draft. And I would not be surprised at that. I just had them taking Fashanu there because I still see him as that super high ceiling guy. And I get they signed Tyron Smith and who was the other one? Morgan Moses, I think. Both of those are older guys, And if you really think that Tyron Smith is going to make it through 17 games and potentially, hopefully, you guys get into the playoffs and beyond, beyond those 17 games, I wish you luck. But it's not going to happen. So I don't think they should be putting all their eggs in the Tyron Smith basket. When he's healthy, he's one of the best in the game. But he's like 33 now. He's been injured a lot over the last several years. That's why Dallas let him go. So, yeah, I think Fashanu would still be the pick here. If you want to start Smith there to start the season, sure, go ahead. Let Fashanu start out at guard, get a feel for the NFL game, and, get his feet wet there. And then when Tyron Smith gets hurt, move him over. Let him play his natural position at tackle. But I just don't think that if this is really sort of a make or break season. This is the Jets as close to all in as they can go because Aaron Rodgers ain't getting any younger. They need to be going all in to try to protect him. And so take Fashanu, who is a super high ceiling guy. Tyron Smith is not somebody that I think you want to bank on staying healthy for 17 plus games in your sort of all in season. So, yeah, that's my thinking. But I also would not be surprised, and I think it would be a good pick as well for them if they did take Bowers, a super elite weapon at the tight end position. And since you've already signed these two tackles that you hope can stay healthy, go ahead and give Aaron Rodgers this elite weapon. And yeah, I think that would be a good pick for them as well. So I would not have a problem with them doing that. But that's my thinking on it. Then at 11, did I have the same thing? They have the Viking or the Chargers, who had traded back with the Vikings. They were at 5. They have them taking J.C. Latham. This is where I had Brock Bowers going. I had it going 11 to the Chargers. And I get that for some reason, everyone is under this idea that Jim Harbaugh, no matter what, is going to take an offensive lineman. It seems like everyone has this idea in their head that Jim Harbaugh is going to draft an offensive lineman no matter what. I don't know why. I mean, I don't know why you would use the 11th overall pick on a right to. You've already got your left tackle. I mean, Rashawn Slater is your guy there. That offensive line is not horrible. You need an upgrade at the right tackle spot, but you can get that in the second round, man. I don't know why everybody is under this, especially in this draft. I mean, this draft is so full of talent there, and like going to be the first 50 picks of offensive linemen. There's so much there that they can get a really good right tackle in the second round. I don't know why they would overdraft a guy like Latham, who I think 11 is too high for him, instead of getting somebody like Brock Bowers, which, of course, in Kiper's mock draft, they have Bowers already gone at 10. But I just don't know why there's this mindset that Jim Harbaugh is definitely going to take an offensive lineman. I get it. He likes to run the ball. He likes to pound it and play bully ball and all that. But I just don't think that that sort of mentality and that desire to play a certain way would supersede him doing what's right for the team and trying to win. And overdrafting a guy like Latham, I don't think would be the right move there. But anyway, sorry, I'm also trying to drive while I'm talking, and it's still a little wet and rainy, and assholes do not know how to drive in the rain. It's that switch on the side of your steering wheel, buddy. That's what it's there for. All right, so anywho, where were we? So yeah, talking about the Kiper mock, what did he have there at 12? I had the Broncos, I said, taking Bo Nix. I still believe if that's the way they would go, but I would not be surprised if they didn't. Who's on their roster now? Did they even have anybody? I know they've got somebody, but I don't think they have anybody that would be like actually considered potential starting caliber. So I think if they are sitting there at 12 and McCarthy or Nix or Penix is still there, which, one of those three is going to be, I think that's the way they're going to go. And I think it's the way they should go. Kiper, according to what I read from him, was saying something like, that they could do better by getting a more talented piece. Like he's got him taking Quinyon Mitchell. out of the cornerback out of Toledo, who he has ranked as the number one corner. I've actually got Terrion Arnold ahead of him. But he's saying that the Broncos could then maybe get their quarterback in the second round with Penix or Nix. I just think, everybody likes that quarterbacks go high, so I don't know why you would not just go ahead if you believe this is your guy and take him now. The Raiders, I did something a little creative there. I had them trading back and the Lions trading up to get Latu because I think somebody is really going to want Latu and or Verse. I think those are two potential trade targets because they're so close there with Turner, Latu, and Verse that different teams are going to have different guys as the number one edge rusher in this draft. And so if a team's sitting there and they're seeing here we are at 13, 14, 15, and the person we believe is the best edge rusher in the draft, maybe the second most valuable position in the game, I'm going to go up and get him. And so knowing that the Lions can be pretty aggressive, I just had some fun with it and had them trade up to 13. And knowing that the Raiders want a quarterback, even though they did sign Gardner Minshew, I know that they don't need, that's not their most urgent need maybe. But if they want to win, they need to get their quarterback. So I had them trading back to like 29th, I think, or whatever the Lions were, and racking up some more picks, and then taking Penix there late. But then, looking at the rest of it, not all the guys were the same. But I think overall, I know we had the first 9 picks is the same. And then I think overall, like 15 of the first 32 picks, I had the same as what Kiper did. And then even the ones that were different, we had maybe different guys, but same position or same sort of thinking. So it made me feel really good and validated about it. There are still some things I disagree with him about. He's got Cooper DeJean still as going to the Jags. That was one thing. Everything we've been hearing about Cooper DeJean lately makes it seem like people are seeing him more as a safety, and that could be a race thing. I mean, it just could be. When the last white cornerback that I can remember in the NFL was that guy who played for the Giants. I can't even remember his name now, but there just aren't any white corners in the league. It's a thing. Cooper DeJean could break that ceiling mold, whatever, and be that guy. But people are now labeling him more as a safety in the NFL. And so if that's the case, then I don't think the Jags are going to take him at 17. And another thing that I feel like is, and I may have mentioned this in my mock draft, I think that these top 2 interior defensive linemen, Byron Murphy and Jerzon Newton, I think those 2 guys might go a little higher than many of us are expecting. And then I have them or Kiper has them on, because that position has just grown in value and importance. And those 2 guys are very talented. So I wouldn't be shocked to see one of those 2 guys or both of those guys going higher than a lot of us have them mocked. Anyway, so I just wanted to hop on for a few minutes and talk about the Kiper mock draft and go into mine a little bit. I'm sure I'll be doing another one here sometime over the next week or 2. We've still got it's exactly 2 weeks, I think, until the draft officially starts. So sometime within the next week or 2, I will do at least one more mock draft on the YouTube channel. If you're not watching the YouTube channel, you need to check it out. It's Talking Sports at Work. And you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter and all that other crap. I am at HDW Pursley. It's just my initials and my last name. So it's at HDW Pursley. Like and subscribe to the videos, follow and rate and whatever the podcast. Tell your friends, share the link, send the link to get the word out there. Help me get famous. All right. Anyway, guys, I'll talk to you again soon. Love you. Bye.